Hello everyone, welcome back to Metis IAS. This is Sonia Gupta and we are at the last stretch of our Panchayati Raj series. So we have done the complete Panchayati Raj system, how it evolved, what salient features it had. Then we have done what were its achievement, what were its limitations, the challenges and how we have to overcome it, right? Now coming to Panchayati Raj, the last part of it, what happened is when 73rd Amendment Act was done. This act was not implemented or was not extended to the scheduled areas. What are these scheduled areas? These are tribal dominated areas which are listed in the 5th schedule. Our constitution we have schedule 5th and schedule 6th. Schedule 5th, the areas which are in list 5th are called as scheduled areas, while the areas in the schedule 6 are called as the tribal areas, but there is no hard and fast rule. Both have tribal dominated population. So here the PESA Act, the Panchayati Raj Act was not extended. Reason being, already schedule 5 and schedule 6 had some kind of autonomy. More or less some kind of autonomy, more or less some kind of local governance. So, but however, later on with PESA Act, the name of the act is Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas Act 1996. It was extended, the part 9 of the constitution was extended so that it empowers the tribal communities over there. They can preserve their customs, traditions, because local government, local people are the one who are well aware of their local customs and they will be more empowered in that case so that they can take decisions which benefit their community. So you wanted to give power to the grassroots level so that their growth can take place in the manner they need, the way they want, right? So this was PESA Act. Now here this slide shows you the scheduled areas. The here light green ones are the states with 5th scheduled areas. For example, Himachal Pradesh, there are overall 10 states: Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, MP, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Odisha, Maharashtra, Telangana and Andhra. So it's easy for you to remember all these states. How? Because the agricultural belt, here the agricultural belt is not there, and below these 4 states are not there: Goa, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, right? So this agriculture belt of Ganga valley is not there, and all these states are there. These are 9 states. One is Himachal Pradesh, tribal area. There are certain tribal areas like Kinnaur, Spiti and all, and due to which it is included. Another important schedule is schedule 6th, where there is tribal advisory council, and there are total 4 states in schedule 6, that is Meghalaya, Assam, Mizoram and Tripura, right? So PESA Act, the background of PESA Act was that its application, the Panchayati, the 73rd Amendment Act was extended here. It was extended to scheduled areas which are in 5th schedule. So 6th schedule already have a local governance structures as tribal advisory council, where they have legislative, executive and judiciary power. We are going to do this in the tribal areas also, right? So when we see scheduled areas and tribal areas, they will see that what specific powers in schedule they have. But here you should know that 6 scheduled areas already have tribal advisory council, which have more powers with regard to legislating, that is law making, executive, law implementing and law adjudicating, that is judicial powers. So PESA Act extended the Panchayati Raj institution to these 10 states of scheduled areas. Parliament role was that it can extend the provisions as it is also, or with certain modifications as per their regional requirement. What were the key of those? The extension of Panchayati Raj provisions, that is to adapt 73rd Amendment Act to tribal areas with modification or without modification or certain changes as per their regional requirement. Then is self-rule for the tribal people. They wanted self-rule for the tribal people, and hence this was extended. So it empowers Gram Sabha and Panchayats for local governance. Next is preservation of their tradition, that what customs, traditions, community practices they follow in that regional level, at that local level. The panchayats will be able to take those steps so that they can preserve their customs, tradition, and community practices. Next is decentralization of local autonomy, that is prevent power usurpation by higher panchayats or control the local resources. Since tribal areas they have high resources, high number of resources, and especially they have mineral wealth, right? So they are always under the threat of exploitation by the industries, by the political industry nexus. So here they were empowered that they can preserve their local resources, they can control their local resources, so that the elite section do not exploit them, right? So what were the salient features is, first is Gram Sabha empowerment, that is the major feature of this act, that Gram Sabha was empowered. What is Gram Sabha? It's a village level Gram Sabha with all eligible voters in that area. It approves the social economic development plans, means any industry has to come there, any development plan has to come there. So approval will be given by Gram Sabha. Okay, without their approval, the project cannot proceed. Next is to preserve the cultural identity and resources. What were the reservation given in the panchayats? The reservation was that minimum 50% seats has to be reserved for scheduled tribes in panchayat. Chairman post was completely reserved for STs, and state can nominate ST members if they are underrepresented. So major part is representation of marginalized community in those areas. And what are marginalized communities here? The ST communities. So you are planning to empower the marginalized communities. Next important feature was, which is very important in these tribal areas because they are rich in mineral wealth and always on radar of elite section for exploitation. That is, you can also call them as that they have the curse of mineral wealth, because elite section or the industrial section always wants those mineral wells to be exploited, right? So here you have empowered them that they can control their local resources and the way they want development in their area. So first important feature is that whatsoever projects are there, they have to be consulted by Gram Sabha, and without their consultation the project cannot proceed. Means Gram Sabha must be consulted before land acquisition. Anyone who wants to acquire that land, before that land acquisition and resettlement, Gram Sabha has to be consulted. Next, resource management has to be done with the approval of Gram Sabha, means approval of water bodies, minerals, natural resources. All approval on these projects has to be given by Gram Sabha. Another important feature is, because these tribal people are, they're very innocent. They are exploited by people in several ways, right? For their forest produce, they are being sometimes frauded in their markets. Their markets are very simple, generally run by women also, right? And they can be easily intoxicated also. So they can control the intoxicants which are coming in their area. They can control their markets, they can control their forest produce also. So we are doing several things to, so that their exploitation can be minimized. They can also live a just a happy life, a good life in their own way, the way they want, right? Because ultimate goal was to provide good life to people, good governance to people, and people has to be part of that, because they should be part of something which is affecting them. So if these actions are affecting them, they should be the decision makers. Next is land protection. What happens is, since their land is rich in mineral wealth, they can be exploited, they can be alienated from their land, they can be evicted from their land and forced to resettle in some other areas. So here it prevents the land alienation, and if there is any tribal community which is alienated from their land, they can be restored if it has happened illegally. Okay. Apart from that, they have financial and administrative powers. Financial powers include the same thing, that they manages the local funds. They also have tribal subplans which they execute on their own after discussions from Gram Sabha. Next is, it prevents power overlap. Power overlap means the district authorities, the mandal panchayats and all, in higher authorities, whatsoever power are there, their power cannot be usurped or taken up by the higher authorities. For example, I just said that Gram Sabha permission has to be taken. Gram Sabha permission should be taken before land acquisition. So what happens is, sometimes the higher authorities, they give the permission, but it should not happen, right? Because it was the people, it was the Gram Sabha who has to give that consultation. How come higher authorities here are giving those permissions? So there are other administrative powers, like higher authorities are not allowed to usurp their power, especially of Gram Sabha. And other powers, like they control money lending and social institutions. Why money lending? Because I said that they tribal people live slightly away from the mainstream people, and because of which they are exploited, because the literacy rates are very low. Since the literacy rates are very low, financial literacy is very low, they are usually trapped or exploited in money lender cases also. So even they can control those money lending activities and social institutions in their area. Now, what are the achievements of PESA Act? See, PESA Act, the main goal was tribal empowerment, to empower the Gram Sabha, the people directly. Here, the one of the achievement of PESA is tribal empowerment, and the important example is the Niamgiri Hills case. Now, Niamgiri Hills case, what it was, that it's a Niamgiri is a hills which are present in Odisha. It's present in Kalahandi and Rayagarh districts, where Dongaria Kon tribes used to live. But what happens was, in 2003, Vedanta Resources got a project, an agreement with the government for alumina refinery. So this Dongaria tribe community resisted it because it violated their Forest Rights Act, the land rights under Forest Rights Act. Apart from that, this was the Dongaria tribes, Dongaria Kon tribes, their sacred land. So they had their religious sacred importance, and this would destroy that land and pollute their water resources. So to prevent this, they went for a legal battle in Supreme Court, and in 2013, Supreme Court, it empowered the Gram Sabha, that Gram Sabha has to take the decision, and Gram Sabha unanimously voted against the project, and the project was cancelled. Right. So what happens is that in Niamgiri, the project approval has to be given by tribals, and tribals protected their land, their community resources for their own benefit. Right. So this is how tribal empowerment was done, and this is the good example. Apart from this, here there is a photo of Kinnaur in Himachal Pradesh, where tribal people, they stand up for their rights. Right. So this gives them effective freedom in case of control of their resources, what resources they want, what way of development they want, whether they want to exploit, industrialize, or they do not want to industrialize, they want to preserve. Right. Next is, it strengthened the Gram Sabha. Final authority on local development was with the people, Gram Sabha. For example, Madhya Pradesh saw Gram Sabha actively controlling local resources like water bodies, forest produce, etc. Then we have recognized the indigenous people right. See, it is unfortunate that even after British era got over, after independence, the indigenous people right were not acknowledged or were not recognized until Forest Right Act 2006. But PESA, before this, PESA in some or the other way recognized their rights in the way that tribals were approval was mandatory. They have not legally recognized it, but indirectly, when they say that any project will be implemented until tribal approves it, means in some or the other way they are recognizing that they are the owner of this resources. Then, as the localized governance became improved, it was improvised, more targeted development, self sufficiency happened in tribal areas. Next is, what are the challenges of it? First is partially implemented, they are partially implemented, not fully implemented, because many states have not made or changed their laws according to PESA Act. Then there is legal conflict. We have just seen the Niamgiri Hills conflict, where state laws जो है land and on mining, they are in conflict with the PESA. Sometimes the higher authorities usurp their powers. Then is lack of fund function functionaries, which is common in the panchayati system everywhere across India. Right, so funds are less, functions are not properly devolved from the states, and even capacity building or trained workforce is not there. Next is bureaucracy has resisted these powers to be given to the people. We have already seen that Manishankar Iyer committee already said that bureaucracy has resisted giving powers to the other, that bureaucracy has resisted giving powers to the people. Now, what are the solutions and recommendations? It is in no way different from what you have done. I have just listed here. Otherwise, you can use the same points over here also, which we have done comprehensively for Panchayat. That is, the full implementation should be there. States must devolve the power. You must empower Gram Sabha more. That is, legal autonomy should be given. Their decision should be respected. It should not happen that higher authorities, higher panchayats, they usurp their power. Then the 3 F's must be completely devolved. The funds should be provided. There should be local tax collection. Their function should be increased, widened the scope of their functions. Then they should be provided with trained, skilled workforce, both in financial, administrative matters. Right. Next is strengthen the monitoring. The audits and the reports must be formed and they should be complied with. Then we have to raise awareness among the tribal people so that they can use their power. And finally, the conclusion is that we have to realize the full potential of PESA Act. We have to protect their rights. Ultimately, our goal is to provide good life to everyone. Okay. So this is PESA Act. And in the next session, we'll be seeing about the previous year questions which have been asked on these topics and the prelims. Both mains and prelims question will be looking what kind of questions has been asked on these topics. I hope the chapter is clear. If you face any doubt, you are free to comment. You are free to reach us. You can call Metis IS anytime and you can ask for your doubts to be clarified. And if you want to do answer writing on those, we are ready to help you. In any sort of preparation, guidance you need, Metis IS is always ready to help you. Feel free to reach us. Thank you so much.